Welcome everybody. This is the Sunshine Glades Par 5 from middle tee tutorial and instruction with some examples. So I will go through the 3 Par 5s in the Sunshine Glades or Monster Marsh course. So welcome everybody. This is the first Par 5 in the Sunshine Glades. There is some alternatives to your approach on this, but they are somewhat limited in my view, but I will get back to that. First of all drives place 10% up in the wind due to downhill from the tee box to the landing places. So the main goal and the main approach is to land your drive, the first bounce from your drive, on the northeastern part of the little island in the middle of the hole. You see a blue dot on the northeastern part of that. You also see some orange part in the northern tip of this, and that is a small hump in the fairway, and if you end up landing your ball there, you might experience some unexpected bounce activity of the ball. So try to land just short of that little hill and you will be golden. Additionally, as you add 10%, depending on the wind direction, you might end up adjusting down the slope of this fairway towards the water, and if you do that, you will need to push up your target after you've done your wind adjustments to compensate for the loss of distance due to moving your target to a lower position. You will add about 5 topspin and maximum right spin of your ball, and the goal is to end up on the next little bigger island, and then the blue area that I've indicated on the picture here. And the reason why you're using the right spin and curl is not to end up in the bunker to the left part of this. Also not use too much topspin so that you will run over this little island. If you end up in the rough, you will have a much more difficult time to actually reach the green on the second shot. As an alternative, you can actually, if you're lacking curl and have sufficient with backspin, you can use a high power ball, drive and land on the second fairway, in the beginning of the second fairway, and control your landing with some backspin, making sure you not run long, and have a more or less similar shot at the green from the same position as from the main alternative drive. You might consider using the left part of the hole, like a big patch of fairway over there, but don't do it. It's making your life a lot harder, because you will most likely lack the distance to actually do anything good from this position in the area where I marked with the exclamation mark. If you are able to drive to the area where there's a question mark, which I see quite difficult, but maybe possible with a big hook or something, then of course you will be in a long iron distance from the pin and have a decent chance, but that drive will be very difficult and situational, so I don't see it's a valid option. A third or actually fourth alternative for the drive, if you have a huge tailwind, you could actually try to land your drive in the northern part of the second fairway with using a lot of topspin and left spin, and try to end up close to or on the green. But that is also very situational and maybe only possible in tournament situations. So for the drive, remember to push your target forward if you adjust into the water or down the slope on the first fairway. Don't use too much topspin, and for the second shot then you will use your wood club from this second fairway. If you end up short for some reason, then you might need to jump the rough part before the fairway that surrounds the green, using some topspin, and of course this will be more difficult to dial in to get the albatross, but possible. The real chance for albatross is landing on the fairway just before the green, adjusting, controlling your landing with some backspin and side spin. Just adjust straight at the pin, check your distance depending on what ball you're using and club, adjust accordingly and try to get the alba. If you have a lot of side spin, there's also an alternative to land in the rough just left of the green, using right spin and adjust the spin. I think it will be top spin, but I haven't tried that myself. So and 0 elevation for the wood shot. Good luck and see you out there. So okay, here we go. This is the par 5 we were talking about, and I'm going to lay up and set up the shot on the north end of the fairway, about 5-ish top spin and max right spin, and I will adjust 10% extra, so it's about 3 rings, and then I move forward as I lose some distance, lose some height on the aim, and then just add some curl and let loose. The idea of this shot is to end up in the northeastern part of this fairway, approximately like this. It's not so critical. And for the next shot, we're going to try to sink this one. It's about mid club wood if you end up in the area where I ended up with. So I'm trying to judge the distance here. After that, no elevation change, but I'm adding a little bit for the side wind, so it's about 3 rings adjustment for 3.0 miles per hour wind.
Perfect shot.
And as you can see, we were able to sink this one. Okay, time for the next par 5, this time in Sunshine Glades 5B. All drives place 10%, so the tee boxes are a little bit above the fairway where we are landing our ball. There are two main alternatives. Of course, there are always some special variants that are very situational. I won't cover them very much in detail. Okay, so the first alternative is to lay up on the right hand side of the first fairway. Use about 2 topspin, 2 to 3 topspin, depending on the where you set up your landing. The aim is to end up in end of the right hand fairway, a right hand part of the fairway, close to the rough but not too close, because if you run into the rough, then of course it will be a lot more difficult to reach the green on the second shot. So about 2 topspin, max left spin, and complement that with some curl to the left as well, to make sure you end up in the area indicated on the picture. From that point you will be approaching the green with your wood club, and sniper power is perfectly okay. You don't need a really long wood club. So either you set up your shot on the fairway part before the green, like the first little blue dot you can see, or in the rough in between, depending on your preferences, of course. That you don't need to add any elevation adjustment, is 0%. The alternative drive is going to the left hand side of the first fairway, jump the water, end up in the area indicated by the blue area on the left hand top fairway, and approaching the green with the short or long iron instead of the wood from the right hand side. There is of course a slight risk that you end up in the water or get stuck in the rough edges or sand, if even worse, on this part, but if you prefer to approach the pin with a short or long iron, then of course this is perhaps a better alternative to get your albatross. So the hazards are mainly going long if you go on the right hand side into the rough, or worse, into the water, but hopefully we will be able to avoid that with the not too much topspin. Going left hand side, then of course you can end up in the water as you need to jump the water, and you might also risk running into slightly less advantageous shot if you have to approach the green with your rough iron or sand wedge. Okay, so there is also one special case that I want to mention, because in a tournament some time ago we had massive tailwind on this, and then you will be able to try to go for the green, and then you will set up your shot to land on the second fairway to the left. Use a lot of topspin and right spin to try to force yourself jumping over the water and into the last piece of land, and just force yourself towards the green and ending up on or close to the green. Of course that is coupled with lots of risks, but the reward might be worth it. I don't know. It's up to all of you out there. Okay, that's it about Sunshine Glades 5B. So let's go. This is Par Index B, not 5 only, as I mentioned in the instruction before, but it's not so relevant. The idea is to end up in the northern part of this fairway to the right, as we're not having enough tailwind to actually jump over on the left hand side. About 2.5 topspin would be sufficient. Max left spin and a little bit of curl, as I'm used to using a marlin with not enough side spin. And we end up in the northern part of the fairway and go for the approach with the wood. So here we're going to adjust close to maximum numbers, but I over adjust a little bit. Just get the ball guide towards the pin, adjust for the number that you at the distance you are. So in this case maybe 7.5 would have been better than the 8 I'm changing, adjusting. So I will miss to the right.
Perfect shot.
But good luck and get this one in the tournament later on.
Nice on.
So, time for the last of the par 5s in the Sunshine Glades course, or the Monster Marsh, depending on what time of year we're talking about. But currently we have the Monster Marsh tournament. So the idea of this hole, if you're talking about tour play, then the main approach will be to set up your shot on the right hand fairway and jump the water, ending up between the rough and the sand bunkers on the second island. Don't use too much topspin, because it's very easily that you run over into the rough in the northwest part of this little thin part of the island. Counter the wind with some side spin, not too much, just to counter it a little bit. From there you will need a really long wood. I would suggest, if you're going with this and have the possibility to select, then you should go with a really long wood like the Cataclysm or Big Dog. You will need to set up your shot either to go around the trees in the middle, just before the green, with just a little bit of topspin, a lot of side spin to the left, and also curl. Beware of running into the sand on the right hand side of this just before the green, and take care not to run over the green too fast, because you will very easily roll into the rough and have a more difficult chance on the eagle than actually putting or running a little bit short, because then you can use your wedge or putter, of course. Also, as an alternative to that, if you don't have a lot of curl on your wood club, then you can set up just before the little part where there's trees and try to find the gap between them and get a slightly more straight approach to the green, which is also a possibility, of course. If you have tailwind, then I would suggest you go on the left hand, the drive on the left hand part of the left hand fairway, jump the water and try to push yourself as far north as possible. I have not seen any real risk of running too long, but there is a bunker just in line there, but I don't think you will be able to reach it. Just thread your ball between the obstacles on this part of the course, and you will end up in a min to mid wood or maximum distance long iron towards the pin. From that position you will be able to approach the pin directly, or with a rough bump just southwest of the green, try to use some side spin and find your albatross that way. So the hazards I've already spoken about. It's the water on the, if you go on the left hand side, normally the water does not come into play if you go on the right hand side, but it's quite easy to run into the sand or long into the rough. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about regards to this hole. Take care and see you out there. So here we are. Now we're going to do the left fairway approach, and as you can see, we're not really reaching there with the Par1 ball, the Par0 ball, so we're changing to a Titan to make sure we will be able to jump the water. We adjust 10% extra, so it will be about 4 rings, 4 or 4.5. And just, as we didn't have any tailwind, max overpower and let loose. So as you can see, you will need a really good club if you don't want to do this without tailwind. We end up in the fairway on the second there, and then you will try to approach the green with in this case where you're going to use the wood in almost minimum distance. So the rough bump would have been in more or less mid in this case if you wanted to do that, but I selected to do the approach with just a normal fairway bump. And unfortunately, were not able to get this one into the hole, but I'm sure you will find it out there. Good luck. Okay guys, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the show. This concludes the episode for Sunshine Glades Par5s. I will compliment on the channel for certain specific shots, and please hit subscribe and like if you like what you have been seeing, and hope to see you out there on the course. Goodbye.